I promised yesterday I'd give an order, my order today, my final order. I will allow the package as suggested by Mr. Ferreira. He will show it to the defense and the state, and then we can take it from there. Secondly, someone was kind enough to give me more information about blogging and tweeting. As a result of that, in respect of this witness, blogging and tweeting is allowed. Thank you.
As the court pleases.
As the court pleases, my lady.
Anything that had happened.
So now the bullet is ejected, what happened?
Then in the interim, his license, his firearm license had been given to the Metro police officer, to which he asked him a question, Mr. Pretorius. Then he said, well, actually, if you could read, it would state Mr. Pistorius.
What happened to the bullet?
Eventually, I had gone round to the side of the car, and after trying to move the seat, moving it forwards and backwards, eventually I did find the single bullet.
What did you do with it?
I had then given that bullet back to the accused.
You know what he did with it?
I think he had put it back in his magazine of the weapon. I did not see him do that, but from what I can imagine, he would have put the bullet back in his magazine.
But you did not see it?
No, I didn't. The lady.
So what happened then?
Shortly thereafter, another set of Metro officers arrived on the scene and said, we've been chasing you since the toll plaza.
I didn't hear that.
Shortly thereafter, another set of Metro police had arrived and said, we've been chasing you since the toll plaza, my lady.
Yes, and then?
Shortly thereafter, after having been issued with a speeding fine, we had then proceeded to leave the place of the fine.
What was the accused's reaction to what happened when you left?
He was furious about that. Someone else had touched his gun.
And from there, where did you go?
From there, we had proceeded to go to a house regarding something to do with a firearm.
Whose firearm?
One of Oscar's firearms. Either pertaining to a license or an actual gun. I'm not exactly sure about that.
And from that particular house, where did you go?
From that house, we had then gone towards the Athol Square. We landed up at the Gourmet Garage for dinner, my lady.
Something else happened en route.
Yes, it did, my lady.
What happened?
I was driving. The accused was in the passenger seat. Sam Taylor was in the back of the car, and then without prior warning, he shot out the sunroof.
What happened?
Instinctively, I had literally just moved over to the right-hand side of the vehicle, seeing that the noise had gone off above my left ear, milady.
How do you know that he shot out of the sunroof?
Once I'd flinched over to the right-hand side of the vehicle, having ducked down, I had seen the weapon being brought back in through the sunroof.
Did you say anything?
Apologies for my language, milady, but I asked him if he was fucking mad.
What did he say?
He just laughed, milady. By that stage, it literally felt as if my ear was bleeding. I had a constant ringing in my left ear.
Did you inquire from him why? What was he doing after the shot was fired?
He just laughed about what had just happened.
Did you discuss this incident with him at all?
No, after that, basically we just carried on driving.
Now, you were able to point out to the police the specific spot where this happened. Were you?
From what I remember from what I remember thereof, yes, I did.
There's a file in front of you, Mr. Fresco. That file. Would you open that file at HI? It's a little blue label. If you open the first photograph in that little album, it's 1143, am I right?
Correct.
You can also see it on the screen if you want to. Does that look familiar?
It does, milady.
Can you point out whereabouts this happened? Let us just describe that to court. The way we look down, there's a traffic light.
Yes, now heading through the traffic lights, going towards the direction of the arrow, heading towards Johannesburg, milady.
And one can see a white car being parked there.
Correct, milady.
Do you know who that is?
That would be Mike van Aert and myself standing next to the vehicle, milady.
So the white car just parked the other side of the traffic light that you and Captain van Aert is what is indicated by that specific, that area there.
That would be the road carrying on straight towards the Johannesburg direction.
And where was the shot fired?
Out the sunroof, traveling in that direction.
If you just turn the page to 1144, that's the close-up of the white car, am I right?
Yes, milady.
And can you recognize yourself there?
Yes, sir, I can.
There are two people there, the one on the right, that's you.
Yes, milady.
And the intention with that day is to indicate to the captain where the shot was fired through the sunroof.
Correct, milady.
And if you turn the page 1145, that's not important, but 1146, that's just a wider angle photograph of where it happened. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Fresco, that's not the only shooting incident that you've been involved in as far as the accused in this matter is concerned. There's another one as well.
Correct, milady.
That was where?
That was in January of, should be of last year.
And where did this happen?
This had happened in Tasha's in Melrose Arch, milady.
Mr. Fresco, in that same file you have, if you open at the yellow marker, mark G, it's one back, you'll find a file consisting of photographs. Now, you say it happened at Tasha's. Why did you go to Tasha's on that particular day?
One of the accused's running friends or running training partners had arrived from overseas, and he said he would like me to come and meet him.
And that person was?
Martin Rooney, my lady.
Now, who was in your company on that particular day in Tasha's?
There were 4 of us that day. There was Martin Rooney, the accused, Kevin Lorena, and myself.
Did you go there in the same car, or did you arrive there at different times?
I had arrived on my own because I'd been at work that day.
It's not in dispute, Mr. Fresco, but let's just run through the photographs. If you open the first photograph, 1132, that is a photograph of Tasha's restaurant. Can you confirm that?
The outside section, yes, I can.
And the same with 1133.
Correct, my lady, just from a different angle.
If you open at 1134, does that look familiar?
It does indeed. That would be the table that we were sitting at.
Is the one indicated with a red arrow?
Correct. It's in the furthermost corner towards the back right. It depends which way you're looking at it. Back side of the restaurant.
And photograph 1135 would also indicate your table, just from a different view. Am I right?
Correct, my lady.
If one uses photograph 1135, no, there's a better photograph. Let us go to 1137. That's a table from a different angle.
Correct, my lady.
Now 1138. Using the numbers, could you indicate who sat where?
I can. At number 1, Mr. Pistorius was sitting at. Number 3, Mr. Rooney. Number 2, Mr. Lorena. And number 4, myself, my lady.
Now, what happened there at Tasha's?
The accused had please asked me to pass my firearm to him.
Let us first identify your firearm.
It is a Glock 27, my lady.
Glock, G-L-O-C-K.
Yes, sir.
Glock 27. Yes. Caliber?
It's a 40 caliber weapon.
So, why did you ask for your firearm?
I do not know.
What happened after you asked?
I thought him being competent, I would not have to worry about why he had asked me to see my gun. Shortly, within a second or so, I had taken the weapon out from my carry position and passed it to him under the table. Now, if you have a look at the table itself, where I was sitting at position 4 and he was sitting at position 1. When you sit on those couches, you sit quite far back. So when I had passed the weapon to him, having sat forward from where I was, he had then come towards me to meet me theoretically halfway, my lady.
You said you thought he was competent. How would you think that?
We had been to the shooting range before, and I knew he had a big love for weapons, and having been around them for a long time, my assumption was that he had competency with it.
Please carry on, Mr. Fresco. You said you took it out of your carry position and you leaned forward.
Having met halfway, my lady, at the table, while the gun still, as soon as his hands had touched the weapon, whilst leaning forward, I said to him, "There is one up."
Now, your head positions at that time in relation to you and the accused, how would you describe that?
Fairly close at that specific time, my lady.
What then happened?
He had then taken the weapon under the table. Now, having warned that there was one up, at no time did I say, okay, I've taken the magazine out. Now, having obviously still been watching him, I cannot say I saw what was done under the table because I cannot see through tables, but I'd seen a shoulder gesture which I had assumed was cycling the existing bullet out of the chamber.
We will lead expert evidence on it, but the firearm as you passed it to the accused,
Yes, sir.
being one up, being a Glock, what do you need to do for it to fire?
My lady, on that weapon, there is no specific safety clip, as there is no hammer on the weapon. On the specific trigger itself, in the middle, there's a hairline trigger that you have to decompress and then pull through for the weapon to fire.
Oh. Please carry on. You've now passed the firearm to him. You did not have time to say anything about the magazine. You saw shoulder movement. What happened then?
After him having taken the weapon and having cycled one out, what I don't think he had realized at the time, that he had cycled another bullet into the chamber of the gun. And at that specific moment, he had pulled the trigger to, at the time, supposedly make it safe.
What happened?
Almost instantly, my lady, the most deafening hush you've ever heard had fallen over the...
You said he pulled the trigger. Did the shot go off or what happened?
Yes, my lady, a shot had gone off. None of us had known where the shot had gone off, or where the bullet had projected to.
I interrupted you when you said something about its silence. That what happened just after the shot was fired?
As soon as that had happened, I think the four of us had caught an extremely big fright, and I just said, just carry on as if nothing has happened. Because where we were seated in the restaurant is the furthermost corner towards the back of the restaurant, and behind the wall closest to number 1 and 2 in the picture is the kitchen. I think it's safe to say that some people in the restaurant may have thought it could have been a gas explosion coming from the kitchen. I'm no expert, but that's what I could have thought about.
Okay, so what was the accused's reaction?
Instantly, he had passed the weapon back to me under the table, and he said, please, there's too much media hype around me at the moment, please can you take the rap for it?
What happened next?
Being a friend, I said, I would with pleasure, my lady.
Then what happened?
Shortly thereafter, the sounds in the restaurant returned back to normal, as basically as if nothing had happened.
Yes, and then?
Then the owner's wife had come to me and said, what just happened? To which I had replied, I'm really sorry, my gun had gone off unintentionally.
Did the accused say anything when she was there?
Not at that time, no.
Did somebody else approach your table?
A little while after that, the owner had come to our table.
And what happened?
And I said again, I just repeatedly apologized for what had just happened, my lady.
Did you give an explanation what happened?
I just said my gun had fallen out of my shorts and it had gone off.
Did the accused give an explanation?
No, he did not.
Now, what happened after that?
A little while after the owner had come and gone, shortly thereafter we had paid the bill, and we had all decided to leave.
Now, do you know if somebody was injured during this discharge of a firearm?
It was most probably shrapnel from either tile or from the bullet itself that had nicked Kevin Lorena.
Where?
It was either on his shin or on his foot.
Did you see it?
I didn't see anything happen specifically, but there were a couple of traces of blood.
You saw the blood?
Yes, sir, I did. And we had basically just said, put your foot down, don't bring any attention to the situation at the moment, my lady.
Did you discuss this incident with the accused afterwards?
From what I can remember, this was never brought up again.
Did you pay for the damage?
I had offered to the owner, specifically stating that because it was my fault, I would be happy to reimburse whatever the costs may have been for the damage caused.
Thank you, my lady. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Ru.
Mr. Fresco, looking at your statement, and we will get to it, I get the distinct impression that you were assisted by an attorney at the time.
I had gone to meet with an attorney at the time.
Who was the attorney?
Mr. Manny Witz was the advocate, and Mr. Cliff Alexander at the time.
And they assisted you then in making your statement?
To specifically make sure that I wasn't going to be...
Can you speak up a little bit, please, Mr. Fresco?
Specifically to make sure that I wasn't going to put myself in any line of trouble, I had gone to seek legal advice, my lady.
It was specifically to make sure that you don't put yourself in trouble.
I think he had put it back in his magazine of the weapon. I did not see him do that, but from what I can imagine, he would have put the bullet back in his magazine.
But you did not see it?
No, I didn't. The lady.
So what happened then?
Shortly thereafter, another set. In the interim, his license, his firearm license, had been given to the Metro police officer, to which he asked him a question, Mr. Pretorius. Then he said, well, actually, if you could read it would state Mr. Pistorius.
What happened to the bullet?
Eventually, I had gone around to the side.
I promised yesterday I'd give an order, my order today, my final order. I will allow the package as suggested by Mr. Ferreira. He will show it to the defense and the state, and then we can take it from there. Secondly, someone was kind enough to give me more information about blogging and tweeting. As a result of that, in respect of this witness, blogging and tweeting is allowed. Thank you.
As the court pleases.
As the court pleases, my lady.
Anything that had happened.
So now the bullet was ejected, what happened?
Then out of the car, and after trying to move the seat, moving it forwards and backwards, eventually I did find the single bullet.
What did you do with it?
I had then given that bullet back to the accused.
You know what he did with it?